So yesterday we looked at a couple of commands and operating systems, etc. Today let's go ahead and look at some more commands and certain network topologies and something about networks. There's another command, very important command used by admins here. It's called as msinfo32. If you know, to get this box, get this run box, you have to click on start or hit on run, or you can hold the Windows key and then R, and it's going to give this box to you, right? There you type in msinfo32 and it's going to give you a bunch of information about your hardware, software, drivers, and every other component that is installed on your machine, right? So you can take a look at this. So Windows 7 Enterprise, it's got 8 GB of RAM. Can you see my screen? Everybody, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So,
Yes.
okay, so we got 8 GB of RAM, and the total physical memory is a RAM that is installed on your machine. Available physical memory is 4.46. So there's a lot of other components that you can look at. This is very important screen for a lot of system administrators like us. And of course, if you drill down further, you'll be getting a lot of other options as well. Everything about your operating systems, applications, hardware, physical memory, whatever is comprised in this Windows, it's right here as far as the hardware and the drivers is concerned. Another command that I would love to see is sysinfo. sysinfo 32. Okay, I started. Let's talk about registry. It's a separate topic, totally a different topic called as registry. Okay, registry, we launch it using a command called as regedit. And say yes there. And you see a folder like structure over here, isn't it? There's a folder like structure that says HK local root and HK current user machine, etc. This is another very valuable component of the operating system, and if it gets corrupted, your operating system may not boot at all. Yeah, so let's look at them one by one. I'll be picking something randomly, or even starting from the beginning. HK classes root. I'll just expand that to show you what it comprises of. Every component inside it starts with a dot, right? So when we see something starts with a dot, it's an extension in your computer. It's, if you look at 3GP, 3GP is a video file. Similarly, you will have something called .mp3. That's again an audio file. And what kind of a file it is, it's represented on the right side. Yes, that is a audio file. Let's see some other extensions like .txt. Okay, it's a plain text file. You will see on the right hand side. Following me? I've highlighted it here. .txt on the right side is a plain text file. Let's look at .doc. It's application. It's a Word file. Similarly, you will also have .docx. docx. It's a document. It's a O should be opened by Word. So all applications, all the extensions that your computer must have is right here. Is right inside. It should open with Excel version 12. You will see every other extension in this hive, what we call it as a hive. This folder, the top level folder, is called as a hive. Got it? What is HK classes root? What is HK classes root? You got it? So this has all the extensions in your computer. Let's take a, can you hear me? Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? I mean, am I audible?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay. Did you get the whole registry part? What I was talking?
No, sir.
HK classes root? No?
No.
Okay, so HK classes root has all the extensions that you have in your computer. What are the different kinds of extensions, right? You got .txt, .xls, .docx. Are these extensions correct? No? These are all extensions. .txt, .doc, .docx, .xlsx, XLSX, and for movies, if you want to play an audio, it is .mp3 and .mp4. If you want to play any movies, it is .mov, right? There's so many of them, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and the way we open these files is with a notepad. These are plain text files. .doc is a document file, and all of these extensions that you have in your computer, it's all listed in your registry, right? So you go to and just type it, expand HK classes root hive and expand this, and it's gonna say .txt. Okay, .txt is a notepad file. You click on it and it says, okay, it's a plain text file. It's perceived as a text file, right? And let's say you gotta open a .doc, a doc file. A doc file is a Word file. On the right side, the application says it's an application and it should open with MS Word. Similarly, you will have for all those extensions, .mp3 is an audio file, .doc is a document file, .xls is an Excel file. On the right side, you see that, right? It's an Excel file. Now, .mov is a movie file which can open with Windows Media Player or VLC player. Understood that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Sagar? Sagar?
Yes, Anand. I'm just typing actually.
Is it clear? Is it clear? Shiva? Hello, Shiva? Shiva? Are you sleeping? Okay. HK current user has all the information about the user who has logged into this computer. And so this user who is logged into this computer has all these software and operating systems, right? So it's talking specifically about current user. How do I know who's logged into this machine? Let's open the command prompt and type who am I. Let's type who am I. It's going to give that I am logged in using my account, my computer account, right? So that's the command that you should be typing in. Who am I is the command, right? So who am I is the command that will tell you who you're logged in as. If you do who am I space / question mark, it's going to give you a lot of syntaxes. Give that a shot. Practice at your home, CLS, and say who am I space / question mark, right? And if you do all, it's going to give you a lot more information, yeah, a lot of information. So give that a shot, see, identify what all these things are, yeah. So HK current user will give information about who this or what applications does this user have, what are the applications inside control panel, what is this user's particular keyboard layout, what are the softwares that's pertinent for this user, right? What are the applications that the user has installed. So take a look at that. So but this is specifically for that user only, whoever is logged in, okay, not for everybody. HK local machine is very important. It's specifically for the hardware, software and system services that are installed on this machine, right? So hardware, it will also have all the hardware that you have, more about your BIOS, processor, hard drive, motherboard, everything that's there here in the as part of the hardware configuration is stored in this. Okay. HK users HK users will have information about all the users that are there in this computer. You may have one user or two user or three user, multiple users logging onto this machine. It will have information about those users inside that. So the number that you see S1521, this is called as a SID. This is called as a SID. SID stands for what? SID stands for security identifier. SID stands for security identifier. So every user has a SID. If you look at this, I did who am I, and it tells me username, who am I slash D, who am I slash all will give me a username and also the SID of that user. Every user will have a unique SID. It's like a roll number. If you create a new user, that user will have a new SID. Every user has a unique SID. Two people may have a same name, but if their user accounts are created in a computer, they will have a different SID. So these are the SIDs. The smaller ones that you see are well-known SIDs, specifically for administrator, backup operators. These SIDs are for them. HK current config consists of, again, software. No, it contains very less information, not much of information, and doesn't hold much significance as well. So basically the most four important hives are HK classes root, HK current user, HK local machine, and HK users. Got it? You okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
See, it becomes very difficult to talk to myself. So this is not a classroom session where I can see people or understand. I don't know whether you are understanding or not unless you talk, you come out and talk, right? So it's important to keep myself motivated by keeping this session interactive. I'm not like others. I'm not sure how many sessions you have attended or what classes you have taken, but I want people to be interactive in my class because I will not be able to carry forward anymore unless you say yes or no or keep asking questions. It becomes very difficult for me. In a classroom session, it's okay. I can see people. I can look at their expressions. But here, I only have in front of me is a monitor and a keyboard, and I do not love talking to machines. Right? So if you want this session for me to move forward, I'm really willing to share the information, whatever I have, but only if it's an interactive session. I do not love talking to computers. Okay, moving forward with this session, we said that we're going to talk about computers. Yesterday we gave a little bit about LAN, WAN, etc. But that's good. That's very basic. But we'll talk something about IP addresses. You know that IP address is in the format of this following format. Can somebody tell me what is the format of an IP address?
www dot.
Okay. Dot. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, Anand is telling the host name, I guess. Like www.google.com is the host name, and IP address format is 192.168.0.1, something like that. Like a 4 format, yeah, 0.1 more, 200 something.
Right. It's in this format. It's in
Yeah.
this is the host name. This is the computer name. or the website name, but this one is an IP address, right? So we will be talking a lot about this format now, right? So it's called as an IP address. Let's just cut this one out. We'll only talk about IP address and then later on slowly move on to the host name, right? So 192.168.10.200 is an IP address. The way we look at your computer now, the only backbone of me talking to you is the internet. If the internet does not exist, we will not be talking, right? So if I do CMD ipconfig and hit enter, it's gonna give me that my IP address is 192.168.43.7, right? So ipconfig is the command to figure out what your IP address is. Okay, so every device must have an IP address in order for it to communicate to the rest of the world. 192.168.10.200 is a kind of IP address, right? Let's try to narrow it down. Now 192 is a decimal. 192 is a decimal. Computers do not understand these kind of numbers or even alphabets for that matter. Computers understand only binaries, which are in the form of ones and zeros, right? So let's try to convert this 192 into binaries. So I'm going to write 192 here, and then now start dividing by, I'm sure you might have done LCM in your life. LCM, we're going to do some of those. So if you do just divide by 2, how much is that? 2 nines 18, right? The balance is 6 0, right?
6.
I'm going to do that again. Now tell me, what is it? What do you have here?
48, 48.
248. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Balance is 0 again.
48.
Okay.
24,
24. Okay. 0.
12,
Um. Okay.
6,
Okay.
and 3.
Okay.
1. Here, 1, sir. Yes.
Yes.
1.
Correct. So we write
Yes,
this
sir.
in reverse order. We will write this in reverse,
1.
and that will be 1 1 and all those zeros, isn't it? Okay. So 192 is 1 1 1 2 3 4 5 6. Correct. Let's do the same for 168, and we don't have to use so much of brain over there. I can simply do CALC and open the calculator and view and say programmer mode and type in 168 here and hit binary. It's going to give that form. So then 10 again. 10 is 10, that one, and 200 like that. Getting it? Agree with me? Okay. So there's also something called a subnet mask you might have seen. That is also very important. It's very, very important. You have subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, and let's not ignore that. So that will be 255.255.255.0, which is the subnet mask. Yeah, as a subnet mask. So 255s is all ones. If you use calculator and try to see, let's do for 1. So that's 255. Look at this, that's all ones, right? So that will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 dot dot 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 dot, and this will be all zeros. Correct? Right, that's great. So that is,
Sir,
yes, please.
excuse me, sir.
You.
Is for 10 it's the right way what we have done, that 4 zeros, 1 0, 1 0?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So zeros will not hold any significance if they are before the 1. If after the 1, they hold the significance. Okay. So That's nice. So 192.168.10.200 is the, oh my god, okay, is the IP address, and that's how they compute themselves. So what I wanted to tell you is something called as, let's say, let's give another IP address as well in this case, yeah. And if I have another one like this, what will be, so let's change the IP address and let's say 210. All of this will remain the same for this IP address 192.168.10.210. This will remain the same, just the last part is changing, correct? So I'm going to do for 210 and say that, right? So just the last part is changing, right? So what this means is that if you have the same subnet mask, if you have the same subnet mask like this, then it just the last part keeps on changing, but the first part is same for all the devices in the network. What that means is, this part 192.168.43.7 never changes for all the machines in your network if they have the same subnet mask 255, 255, 255, 255. So this part will be network ID and this part will be host ID. At your home, you got multiple computers, they will have, if they have this subnet mask 255, 255, 255.0, then this part will never change for all that machines. Only this part will change, right? Now other devices may have 43.7, other device may have 43.8, 43.9, 43.20 or whatever, but they will have 192.168.43 as a prefix. 7 will always be a variable. It will continue to change throughout all devices. Because when I say 255, 255, 255 is there, that means I cannot modify this. When I have all ones as subnet mask, my upper component, I can never change this. Only this part is something I can change. You can try this command on your computer and see ipconfig and see what you got on your computer. Okay?
Yes.
Sagar, you okay with this?
I'm okay, Anand. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So hence this part, the first part is called as a network ID. This part is called as a network ID, and this part is called as a host ID. So something that is a variable is a host ID. Now, maximum you can go up to on this machine, if it is 192.168 dot 10 dot, it will start with a 0 and it will end with 192.168.10.255. You cannot go to 56. You cannot use 256 as an IP address. You cannot use 257. 255 is an end. And for a matter of fact, you cannot even use 255. Although 255 is a valid number over here in the subnet mask, but you cannot use 255 either. The maximum you can use is 254 because 255 is used by computers internally for broadcasting purposes. Right? So how many IP addresses can you have with this subnet mask? A question for you. How many IP addresses can you have with this subnet mask?
254.
Exactly. You can have 254 IP addresses. What that means is you can have 254 host names. You can have 254 machines in that subnet mask. Right? Okay. So that's how it is.
Anand, well, it starts with 0 IP address, then it also counts, right? The total is 255? No?
Organizations actually do not use zero as well. That's a very good point, Sagar. Interesting that you noted that. Yes, it is 255 in that case, but organizations do not use 0. Organizations also do not use 1. They will usually give it to routers or the firewalls or the endpoints. If you look at this,
Oh, okay.
look at this default gateway 192.168.
Yeah.
43.1, that is the IP address of your router. The router which is, your
Okay.
ISP connected to the router at your home, the ISP connected to the router. So we cannot use 1 also. So it starts with 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So it starts with 2. 0 is usually not used. 1 is given to the router. It starts with 2 and then ends with 254. 255 is for broadcast.
Okay.
Okay. All of this knowledge will be helpful in the networking part of the Amazon Web Services, so it's important to understand. Now what I want to tell you is something called as a CIDR notation. I will erase all of this and use the upper part. I'll tell something called as CIDR notation. Okay, notation, and why is it important? CIDR notation starts with your network ID. In this case, can you tell me what is a network ID? For this IP address and for this subnet mask, what is a network ID and what is a host ID?
Host ID is subnet mask.
Uh, yeah, for this particular range, for this IP address, what is a network ID and what is a host ID? Network ID is something that is not changing for all the machines, which is 192.168.10.0, right? And I will write it as
Yes, host 200.
dot 200 is IP address, but the network ID, I will only write network ID here. I will say 192.168.10.0 and I will say slash 24 because I have 24 ones in the subnet mask. And this will represent all the machines in my network. So in your office or at your home, you have an IP address is starting from 192.168.10.1 to 192.168.10.50, let's say. Yeah, so you have 50 IP addresses, but if you want to represent them in a single notation, that's how you represent. So 192.168.10.0 slash 24 means that its subnet mask has 24 ones. When I say it has 24 ones, it will be like this. That means it is 255.255.255.0. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
No? Yeah. I can
Sir,
understand
but you
that.
said that here 192.168, the one actually gives to the router, right?
Yeah.
Then is that included in that?
Yeah, it's included in.
Like you said that, oh, okay.
It's included in that range, yeah. It's in that it's inside that range itself, right?
Okay. But previously you said that normally 0 is not used and the 1 gives to the router.
Yeah. That is
Oh, okay.
true. That is true. But it's still inside that range. It's about we who are
Okay.
deciding, it's we who are deciding that 1 should be given to the router and 0 should not be given. It's a best practice. But if you give 1 to your laptop, it will still work. You give
Okay.
45, 43.43 to your router. You log into your router and give 43.43. Maybe give 1 to yourself. That will work. But usual representation, usual notation, when you see dot 1, most probably 99% it is router, because network team prefers that. Why 1 is given to the router? Because that is the first device that comes into the network. Even before a company purchases laptops or desktops, they first set up the network. And first thing that they purchase is a router, and the first IP that they got is 43.1 or dot 1 in our case. So they will give the first IP, but it is not a custom, not even custom, I would say. It is not a rule, thumb rule to give .1 to the router. You can do
Okay.
43.40 or whatever, but usually because that is the first device, you give .1 to it.
No, okay.
So when you did ipconfig/all on your laptop, did you see .1? Did you see notice this?
No, sir.
Did you do ipconfig on your machine?
No, no, not yet.
Okay, okay, okay. So CIDR notation is like this. Okay. So how many hosts can I have? Like you said, you can have like 255, right? Approximately. I know it is 253. To be more technical,
4.
yeah. To be more technical, that is. Let's keep it 255 because it starts from 0 to 55. Although 255 is used for broadcasting, that's good. But let's keep 255. Yeah. So when we have a subnet mask of 255, 255, 255.0, how many IP addresses can I have? 255, correct? Approximately,
Yes.
hypothetically, right? Okay. So what if I just remove this and put 0 here? How many hosts can I have?
Same the 255?
No, because you have 255.255.255.0, this part was variable. Now you have a larger area. Now only this part is variable. Sorry, only this part is a constant. That means you will have IP addresses starting from 192.168.0.1, 192.168.0.2, 192.168.0.3, and it will go on like that. We'll go till 192.168.0.255, and then the next number will change. It will say 192.168.1.0, 192.168.2.0. Getting it? No? Okay. So it will be 192.168 dot what? 0.1, and then it will go to the same thing, 0.2, 0, 0.3, and it will go on like this till 192.168.0.255. But because the subnet mask is 255.255.0.0, that means we can also use this part for giving IP addresses, right? So I can also give 192.168.1.0, right? Dot 2.0, and this just goes on. It just goes on till what? It goes on till 192.168.255.0. Getting it? So basically, what the permutations and combinations that you will have of IP addresses will be 255 multiplied by 255, and that will be how much? 255 multiplied by 255, which is 65,000 IP addresses you can have in this range. Getting it, Sagar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it done in the, I'm just going through some IP address document. It's showing like it's normally 254 for 255.255.255.0. It's 254 it's showing. So 28, 2 to the power of 8 and minus 2.
Correct.
It's normally 256, right?
Correct.
And other one it's showing 65,534. Yeah, it's a exact number.
Yeah, yeah. That is exact
255
number.
into
I'm just putting in
0.
hypothetical numbers to tell you that if we have
Yeah, that sounds good.
255.255.0 as subnet mask, your number of hosts will increase to this
Yeah,
number approximately. So you can get those exact calculations from the internet, but this is the logic of forming it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, got it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and that's how you get it. But the question for you is that, okay, a quick question for you. What will be the CIDR notation of this network, network and subnet mask?
For me,
Yeah, for any.
192.168.
Okay, let me write it down. 192.168. Then I want the CIDR notation.
it starts with 0, right? 192.168.0.1
I can say 0.0.
0.0.
Yes.
0.0. We start with 0.0
Yeah.
and we increase 0.1 up to 255 and again 192.168.1 dot. Again we can
Correct.
increase like 255 into 255. We need to give the calculation of that.
Right. What is the CIDR?
So then only
CIDR is 192.168.0.
Dot 0 slash, what will you have here? Like this. This was for a
1.
subnet mask that had, like this. This CIDR notation was for this subnet mask and this IP address. But when we remove this and put this, what will be the CIDR notation?
1.
How did we arrive to this number 24? Earlier, how did we arrive to this number 24?
at 24 once, right?
24 ones, yes. 8 3 is
In the
24.
subnet mask.
8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. Number of ones in the
Then
subnet mask. Now what do you say it is?
it's 16.
Perfect.
8 plus 8. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Shilpa, you understand now?
No, sir.
Which part you did not understand?
The 16th part.
We arrive at
Please.
this number 24 because we have 24 ones here in the subnet mask. When we did LCM of 255, we got 1 1
Yes.
1 1 1 1 1 1. Like that we did for all the 255s, and hence we got these ones and these ones and these ones and the zeros. So how many ones we got?
Okay.
We got 8 ones here, plus 8 ones here, plus 8 ones here. Total number of ones are 24.
24.
24. So when I
Yes.
write this subnet masking, when I have 255, only 255, it will be like this. Correct? So the number of
Yes, sir.
ones I have is 16. So that's how it will be 16.
Okay.
This will be representing my entire network. So when I'm drawing a diagram, and saying that, okay, this is my network, or even let's say your home, yeah, this is your home and this is your neighbor's home, right? And you want to set up connectivity between these two. What you have is a router in between. For both your offices or both your houses. So how many devices that you have at your home? Let's say 25 or 30 or 50, yeah, or 60 or whatever, maybe 100. So the IP addresses that this machine or this router can give is how much? Because I have 192.168.1.0/24, I can give out 255 IP addresses, or to be more technical, 254 IP addresses. And similarly, this network, which is your friend's house, also has lots of devices, right? And for the entire network, it can give out how many IP addresses? Let's say 192.168.20.0/24. So this network called A and this network called B will have similarly 254 IP addresses because one is given to the router. These two are two different networks. So when somebody gives you this kind of notation, and somebody gives you this kind of notation, 192.168.1.0/24, yeah, this kind of notation, it means that you can simply tell that 192.168.1 is the network ID, 255.255.255.0 is a subnet mask. Is that clear? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's look at a larger picture. I'm gonna delete this and say you got a really big corporate office. You got a big corporate office, and it is a 192.168.0.0/16, right? And within which you have another network. I'm just gonna delete all of this. No. Um, okay. Okay. 192.168.0.16 is, this is a very big network, isn't it? Very large network, correct? You can have a lot of hosts, a lot of machines inside this, correct? So uh, what you can have is two separate networks inside this, or multiple separate networks inside this, and your networks will be hosted, or your computers will be hosted inside these smaller networks, which are part of the larger network, which is 192.168.0.0/16. So what you can have inside this is 192.168.1.0/24. So you can also have 192.168.5.0/24, and this network is 192.168.30. I'm just writing random numbers, 0/24, right? So what I'm saying is that these smaller networks are subset of the larger network, 192.168.0.0/16. So you're dividing those networks because there are just too many IP addresses there. There's too many, 65,000 approximately IP addresses. Getting it? Confusion? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Confusing?
No, no, no. I'm fine, sir.
Sagar is also fine?
Yeah, I'm good, Anand. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, so this 192.168.1.0, it's a smaller part of it, and you will create these networks in Amazon later on. So that's why it is important. Okay, it's called as a CIDR
Okay.
notation. The smaller ones are called as subnets. So you're creating smaller subnets inside the larger network. Subnets.
Okay.
Subnets means smaller part of the network, sub-network. The bigger network is 192.168.0.0/16. In this range, how many IP addresses can you have? 254. In this range, how many IP addresses can you have? 254. And similarly for all of them. So you want to ease your administration by cutting them down into smaller subnetworks or subnets. Okay? You're just making your administration easier. So if you understand this concept, I mean, this is really great. If you can understand it, then uh, you're done with a good job here. So take a look at all of this: IP addresses, subnet masking, IP addresses, subnet masking, CIDR notation. What is a subnet? What is a subnet? What is a VLAN? What should local area network? Take a look at all of those. Um, Yeah, I also want to tell about class A, class B, class C, and they just go on, but these are the most prominent ones: class A, class B, and class D, and this is class E, right? So let's try to understand them. Now, any questions so far, right from MS Info 32, registry, SID, who am I? Run those commands. I'll give you 5 minutes right now. You know, refresh all of those concepts, memorize them, and let me know. We have like a small 2 minutes break, not a break, but I'm just giving you a breather so that these things absorb. Start from the beginning, MS Info 32, registry and all that. You can ask any question that you got. I'm here. Shiva?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you on? I didn't hear you from a long time.
No, but I am able to hear, but my mic problem, so that's it.
Oh, okay, okay. It looks better now. That's good. Okay, now with 2 minutes. Any questions before we move forward?
Till now it's good, sir.
Okay, great. Great. So with your permission, Sagar, Shiva, and Shilpa will move forward, yeah? If you're moving forward,
Yes,
that
sir.
means you understood. And that doesn't mean that we cannot talk about it later on. Anytime during any discussions, I'm okay. Just feel free to ask the question, so that we can take it off during the next class or later on as well. Um, One thing is that for any learning, for any training, do not feel shy about asking questions. Who's going to think about what? Just don't have such feelings now, because if you have that later on, it's going to be tough. You cannot ask these simple questions in the corporate environment. You will be working on Amazon Web Services, you will be working on cloud, and that is the most sophisticated technology that we have as of today. And if you ask these very simple questions into your colleagues in your office, it will really look bad. So it's good to ask these questions now rather than feeling embarrassed later on. Yeah, it's okay to feel shy, okay to feel whatever, feel bad. Okay, I'm asking simple question, it could be a stupid, whatever question, just ask now, and I'll be really happy to answer them. So moving forward, we have this private, public, static, dynamic, class A, class B, class C IP addresses. Okay, so an organization or even your house for that matter has a Wi-Fi router that is leasing out IP addresses to your laptops, right, or desktops or various devices, right? It just rolls out the IP addresses to maybe different geographical regions around the world. So they have been divided into class A networks, class B networks, and class C networks. You can have an IP from 0 to 255. So what that means is that if an IP address starts from 10.0.0.0, right, and ends with, let's say, 10 dot what? I'm just trying to recollect that. No. Right, if an IP address falls in the range of 1.0.0.0 and ends with 126.255.255.255, then it is called as class A IP address. Okay, then if it's with 128.0.0.0 and ends with 191.255.255.255, then it is class B IP address. Then let's say it starts with 192.168.168 0.0.0 and ends with 223 dot 255 dot 255 dot 255. It is class C. And there are IP addresses that start with 224.0.0.0 and ends with 239.255.255.255. It is class D. 240.0.0.0 ends with 254.255.7. Okay, so that's that. That's range of IP addresses. Now with that on the table now, what do you think is the IP addresses that you have or at your home? Which class it
Routers.
is?
My IP is class A.
At your home, you got a class A?
Yeah. Yeah, 66-249-79-122.
Is that what you see when you do ipconfig/all?
Yes.
Oh,
Uh,
you
I
see
tried
that?
in Google what is my IP address.
Oh, you did what is my IP? That's good. That's good. So you were actually searching for public IP.
Yeah, public IP.
Do ipconfig. Your public,
No.
yeah, your public IP will be in that range. That's a crazy range. What's your private IP? You know, ipconfig. Do ipconfig and tell.
Also, can I try in my MacBook?
Oh, you're doing in MacBook? How do you open command prompt? There should be something called terminal. Terminal in MacBook.
Yes, exactly.
You see the terminal? Okay. Can you do ipconfig? What is the command to check IP address in MacBook? You found it, Shiva?
Yeah, one second. I'm trying, sir.
No problem. Were you able to launch the terminal?
Yeah, I got it like command not found. IP config.
Try ifconfig. ifconfig. Ifconfig.
MG. IF.
Yeah, instead of ipconfig, do ifconfig. Ifconfig.
So mine is class C.
Correct, correct. That's good. Sagar, you have a Windows machine?
No, I'm using Mac Pro. Yeah.
You're also using Mac. Okay. So, did you try ifconfig from your terminal?
Yeah, I'm just checking my IP actually. So after normally in about this Mac, it's showing all the information about the Mac. So, but I'm in terminal actually now
Yes.
currently.
Terminal, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's showing 192.168.1.255.
Yeah, you can use that command like ifconfig and then grep it out inet and you should see that. Okay. 192 series, right?
my also. Sorry.
You got a 192 series, right?
No, 127.0.01.
Okay, let's park it for a minute over there. Let's just park 127. We will talk about 127. Okay, but there should be something other than that. iNet, iNet, and
INET is INET is that only, sir.
iNet is
127.0.01.
there should be one more iNet. Scroll down, there you will see.
Yeah, 192.168.1.15.
Awesome. So that is your IP address that the router gave you. That is the IP address that router gave you. Um, so what is the range? Class A, Class B, or Class C?
It's class C.
Class, which one?
C.
C, right? Okay. Now all of us will get Class C at our home. All these routers are configured to give Class C IP addresses. You can actually log into the router yourself and modify that. That's fine. But most of the time it is Class C. Now Shiva got an interesting point here, 127001. Now if you look at this range, we do not have 127 at all. It starts from 126 and then we do not have 127. It just starts with 128 directly. Correct? We have 128 to 191, then it goes to 190 to 223, 224 to, but that's good. It's a series till 255. But here what we are missing is 127. This is called as 127 series is called as loopback IP address. 127 series is called as loopback IP address. Okay? What it means is that this IP address is assigned to every network adapter on your computer. So that is a default IP address that a network adapter will get. It is a default one. So if I Shilpa, do you know about ping? A tool called ping? Do you know about a tool called ping?
So, sorry, sir, your voice is not clear.
Okay. Do you know ping? P-I-N-G?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's correct or not. We said that ping me something.
Okay. Now, ping is a command. Ping is a command used to check the connectivity between two devices or two interfaces or two network cards. So if you want to check my connectivity between the laptop and another machine, let's say www.yahoo.com, I'll say ping space www.yahoo.com and hit enter, and then I'm going to get replies like this. So this one is really good because I'm sending 4 bytes, sending 4 packets and receiving 4 packets, which is nice. Right? There's no problem at all. Right? So that means the connectivity between my laptop and internet, which is yahoo.com, is good. I can also do ping space and any other website. So it's gonna give me information back and forth. It's sending 4 bytes for 4 packets and receiving 4 packets, right? So I can also ping my own IP address, 192 whatever is my IP address. Let's ping my router 192.168.1.1 and it's gonna give me information. Well, my router does not accept these packets, so I've configured like that any which ways. So that's what ping means. And you will be noticing that you can also ping your own IP address, which is 127.0.0.1. If I get replies from this, that means that my network adapter is functioning properly, right? That's what 127.0.0.1 is. 127.0.0.1 is called as loopback IP address, which is used to check the health of the network adapter. So if you are able to ping it, if you are able to ping 127.0.0.1, that means your network adapter is working fine. Okay? Any questions so far?
Sir, as I tried in my MacBook, it shows P64 bytes.
64? Are you sending 64
P
bytes?
No, P64 bytes.
I'm making you the presenter. Can you share your screen? Just made you the presenter. Awesome. Yeah. So it is sending 64 bytes of information, and it is a continuous ping. You can do Control C to stop it. It's not P64. It is 64 bytes.
Okay. No, so you can see here P64 bytes from.
Yeah, that's an error or something. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good that you're noticing these small things. It's important, specifically in IT. You need to have the eyes of a forensics investigator. And it's looking at the very smallest, minute things is so important. And I appreciate you looking at those very minute things as well. That's nice. Okay, let's go ahead. Uh, I want to make myself the presenter again. Make presenter. Okay, show screen. Okay, that's good. So everybody understood the classes of IP addresses, the loopback adapters, everything? Sagar?
Yes, sir.
Shiva? Okay. Shiva? All right.
I'm good, Anand. Yeah.
Great. Great. Let's go ahead and talk about um, da, 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 da. Public, private, and static IP address. Okay. A public IP is accessible from the internet. A private IP is not accessible from the internet. If I have to define it straightforward. A public IP is something that is on the internet. Let's say Sagar has typed in who is or what is my IP. If I simply launch google.com here and type in, hey, what is my IP? Okay, it's gonna give me a public IP, right? So this is my IP address, but this is my public IP address. My private IP is this 192.168, whatever. That is my private IP. And my public IP is 157.48.120.103. Let me explain it by drawing a diagram. So this is your house, and what you have is a router over here, and the beam cable came from the cloud and gave you internet connection, right? It gave you internet connection. That's good. So what you will get from beam cable or whoever is your ISP provider. For me it's beam cable. I'm in India, so I got beam cable. So I'm getting IP address of what? A public IP. Okay, and what you will get at your home, you have got multiple devices, your mobile phone, tablets, PDAs, computers, etc., laptops. What you will get from your router is a private IP. This is your internal IP. Okay, so the IP addresses that are internal inside your network is a private IP. The IP addresses that are communicable outside from the internet is called as a public IP. Okay, so your communication happens from the router through the public IP, and then it is going out through the public IP. Good. Your devices communicate via a private IP to the router communicates via public IP to the internet. That's what it is. If you want to know what is your IP, go to Google and type in what is my IP, and it's going to give you what your public IP is. A static IP, a static IP is something that never changes. Dynamic IP changes. When does it change? When the lease period is over. Okay? You can get a static public IP, you can get a static private IP. So when I do this, right, 150, when I do what is my IP, Somehow I'm able to hear my own voice. So what is my IP address? I get this. And tomorrow when I come back and do the same thing, I may get the same IP address, I may not get the same IP address. Because I did not get is this cable or purchase this from my IS. They just leased it out for a specific duration of time. And it can be for a small duration or a long duration. So one of the commands that I will show here is ipconfig/all, which will give me more details about my network adapter IP address. What you will see is my IP address which I got, the subnet mask. Not just that, you will also see lease obtained and lease expires. That means that I got the IP address on December 1st, Thursday at so and so time, and my lease will expire at in about 2 hours. Okay, so after this my computer may try to repoll and try to get IP address one more time. It may try to repoll and get an IP address one more time, and it may get the same IP address, may not get the same IP address. This part is called as dynamic allocation of IP addresses, and this is done by a DHCP, a server called as DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So DHCP gives out IP addresses to your devices. The routers at your home have the DHCP module, and hence they are able to give the IP addresses. A dynamic IP keeps on changing. It may change after the lease period is expired. But a static IP does not change. It is constant throughout the lifetime of that machine till the time the static IP is there. Any questions?
So can you repeat once again DHCP?
Oh, DHCP. Okay. DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Okay, DHCP works on dynamic. It's called as DHCP because it gives out IP addresses dynamically. So you have a server out there. What happens in the background is that I'm just going to delete all of this and type in create a server called as DHCP. Called as DHCP server. This could also be a router in our case because we are getting the IP addresses from the router. And you got a laptop or a desktop out here, right? And what, as soon as you power it on, right after some time when you see preparing network connections or something, it's going to try to broadcast. It will broadcast and say that, hey, I need an IP address. It will broadcast and say I need an IP address. Because the laptop doesn't know who the router is or who the DHCP server is. It's just going to broadcast to everybody. And all the devices in the network, you got 15 devices or 20 devices in the network, isn't it? All of them will listen to this packet that this guy is sending. All of them will listen. But then because he cannot give IP addresses, these three machines cannot give IP addresses, they will simply drop the packet. It's just like let's say there are 20 people in a classroom and I'm looking for something called as maybe a red pen. I'm looking for a red pen. Yeah, there are 20 people sitting in a classroom and I as a trainer will stand up and say, hey, anybody has a red pen? And the only person who will respond is the guy who has a red pen. Rest of them will simply drop that packet. They will not worry about it because they don't have or cannot help me at all. Only guy who will respond is the guy who has a red pen. In this similar case here, this machine called A needs an IP address. This machine called A needs an IP address. So he will broadcast and say, hey, I need an IP address now. All the machines in the network will listen, and only person who will respond to this packet is the DHCP server, and he will give the IP address to him. Along with the IP address, he will also give other information as well. You see this one, he will give IP address, he will give subnet mask, he will also tell that okay, your lease will be for 2 hours, your default gateway is this. All of this information is given by the DHCP server. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I want you to do homework. Find out what is DORA process, right? And that will tell you more details about how DHCP works. That's in detail. Take a look at that. Also look at ipconfig /?, and it will give you details / syntaxes about ipconfig. What are the various ways in which you can use ipconfig. Also learn about ping. There are a lot of syntaxes within ping. Learn about that. That will tell you a lot of syntaxes about ping. Okay? And read everything that we spoke so far. Also do msinfo32, that is a command. Also do learn about registry again. Regedit is the command. Yeah, who am I is a command. So there you learn about what is CID. CID is called a security identifier. Yeah, so you need to know all of this. That's all your homework. Okay, any questions so far? No? Yes? Confusing? Okay then, I hope this session was interesting. I did try my best not to confuse you and to tell you in a most layman language, but just in case any of it is not understandable, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions tomorrow. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you, Anand.
Shiva, any
Thank
questions?
you.
Shiva, Sagar?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Anand, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, man. I'll be uploading all of these, the recording sessions and as well as these notes that I'm making. So I'll be uploading all of this into a single point or into my website, so you can take a look at that and download this. So yeah. Thanks for your attention, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.